I'm not going to state anything that's not obvious to folks. I'm white. I'm not black. I'm not brown. I am white. Period. Like, am I as white as some of these guys out here? No. I can tan. I got a little color in me, but I'm white. And at the end of the day, as a white person, it is okay to acknowledge the fact that white culture is essentially taking everybody else's culture and making it yours. You can admit that. Watch this guy stumble through this exchange about what is white culture.
Tell me how you define white identity and what you think is being erased about white identity.
Certain types of Anglo-derived culture that comes from our history.
Like what?
Let me think about this. Senator, I would say if you were to look at the book by one of your former Senate colleagues, Born Fighting, about the sort of Scotch-Irish military culture and certain, pride that went with that, that would be one example. Obviously, you can have sub-elements of that culture. You could have Italians, you could have Irish, and those are in many ways more.
But you're worried about white culture. You're not worried about you're now retreating to ethnic identity. You don't speak about ethnic identity. You speak about white identity. So tell me the values that stitch together white identity and that make it different than black identity.
I would say that the white church is very different than the black church in terms of its tone and style on average. Food ways could often be different.
And those
music could be different.
And those are being erased.
Music could be different. Well, if you look at the Super Bowl halftime show, which was not in English this year.
So our ability to access white churches or white food or white music is being erased?
I am concerned with the majority common American culture that we had for some time that through particularly mass immigration, I think has become much more balkanized. And I think that weakens us. And again, I'm not running away from that comment. I'm not apologizing for it.
Well, I'm way over my time. I think you're struggling to answer this question, right? Because underlying your beliefs is a sentiment that white culture is just simply better.
If you struggle that much to identify what this white culture is that you think is being erased, then it's not being erased and it doesn't exist, most likely. Once again, white culture is... It's very similar to American culture, right? In that we take shit from other cultures and we make it our own, right? We did not... I'm going to paraphrase comedian Richard Jeni now, if I could, please. We did not invent, here in the United States of America, for example, we did not invent the croissant. But we figured out a way to slap shitty cheese and shitty egg on it and sling it out of a fucking window into people's cars and make $1 billion a week. That's our culture. We took something from somebody else's culture and made it our own. That's white culture, right? And then you see, like he said, he's retreating into, well, there are Italians and there are Irish. Slow down. What you're worried about, let's make no mistake about what that guy's worried about. What he's worried about is he's worried about becoming a minority in his own country. He's worried about being a minority in the United States of America. Why? Because he knows how shitty he has and wants to continue to treat minorities. And he doesn't want to be on the receiving end of that. I don't know if guys like him understand that he is a minority on when it comes to global population, on a global scale, that white is the minority. But he is deathly afraid of losing the majority in the United States of America. And here's a newsflash for all of my fellow white people. That is unavoidable. That you can't stop that from happening. The human species is becoming more and more brown, more and more mixed over time. You are going to become the minority in this country. Fucking deal with it.